have you ever heard about the 4% rule? You know, the one where you have to invest in stocks and you got to try to accumulate $1 million over the next 40 years so that you can hopefully retire at the age of 65 or 70 when you're all old and grumpy and hurting to hopefully make $30,000, $40,000 a year in passive income. I've heard that strategy, and I heard it when I first got into business and real estate, and I did not like the idea of it. So if you're watching this video, I'm going to teach you how we took $55,000 of our own business capital, right? And you could raise this, it could be your own that you've saved, to create a passive income stream of over $3,000 a month just in our first year alone, okay? And how you can do it too. Now, that sounds like a bold promise. It's like, who wouldn't trade $55,000 one time to create $3,000 a month every single month for the next 30 years? I don't know about you, but I would make that trade every single day, twice on Sundays. Now, I've heard a lot of coaches, gurus that say, you know, pay me $40,000, $50,000 and I'll teach you how to do it and blah, 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 right? And the reality is, like, some of those people are too good to be true, but there is some truth to being able to grow your passive income without having to accumulate tons of cash, right? Now, I'm not saying you should only focus on passive income. I think you should do both at the same time. Like, we do fix and flips, we do rentals, we do owner financing, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. But ultimately, I do think if you're just on the hamster wheel of constantly accumulating cash, flipping, paying taxes, blah, 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 it's really hard to get to the point where you're ever going to actually be able to live off your passive income, okay? So I'm going to share with you how we did it. And ultimately, this number, like $3,000 a month, that's not life-changing for, you know, the rich and the wealthy, right? But the question is it life-changing for you and your family and your business? Like, would that pay for your mortgage? That's a big expense for a lot of people. A lot of times it's their biggest expense. I know for me, it paid for 3 times my mortgage, right? Which was life-changing. Paid for groceries, paid for insurance, like, that's huge. And so I'm not telling you this number to brag and say, look at me, $3,000 a month passive income. It's like, that's not impressive. But the thing is it's realistic, right? And hopefully you can look at that and be like, wow, maybe I could do that too. So that's what I'm going to talk about on how to do that, okay? So the strategy is owner financing, or more specifically, wraps, okay? Why is it called a wrap? Well, generally, if you own a property outright, like you paid cash for it, there's no mortgage on the property, then that's just owner financing, right? If you sell it to someone and you're acting as the bank, right? They pay you every month. You're not a landlord, you're just the bank, okay? With a wrap, the difference is you have some kind of mortgage on the property. Maybe that's a mortgage that you got. Maybe that's a mortgage that you took over via subject to, right? Taking over someone else's existing payments. They have a low interest rate, right? That's advantageous for you. Or maybe 3, you've gotten the seller to be your bank, right? They owner finance you. And either way, what you're doing is you're taking that, and instead of being like every other investor where you maybe sell it and try to fix and flip it, or you try to be a landlord and fix tenants, toilets and deal with tenants and HVACs, roofs and all that kind of stuff, and to maybe make $100 a month or break even worse. Instead of doing that, what you're going to do is you're going to look at the biggest buildings in the world, basically, at least, in your downtown area, you're going to see the biggest buildings in the world. What are they? They're not construction companies. They're not real estate brokerages, right? They're banks. Now, why are they banks? Because they've understood for years and decades that what the goal is to create income streams and get people to give them money at super low interest rates and then lend it out at higher interest rates, which is what I'm telling you you can do. You can be the bank, and you don't have to have hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars to do this, which is crazy, okay? You can use the bank's money to then lend out at higher interest rates, and you make the profit. So here's how it works. I'll actually share the first deal that we ever did. So picked up a property subject to, so we took over the seller's payments. And the cool thing about this deal is I didn't even find this. Like, this was another wholesaler that was just thinking, I'm going to try to sell this off to an investor that's going to rent it. For me, I was looking at the deal thinking, well, if I rent this property out, I'm going to probably lose money on the deal every month. But what I did instead is I took that property, I spent about $35,000 to get into the deal. That goes to the seller, that goes to the wholesaler, that goes to paying some of the closing costs, right? Some different costs associated with buying the property. And then I turned around and sold that property to somebody with owner financing. So somebody that couldn't get a bank loan for whatever reason. Maybe they going through a divorce, maybe they've had credit problems in the past, or maybe they're just self-employed, which in this case, that was really his thing. He was self-employed and he just couldn't show income because he wrote everything off on his taxes, right? He was a contractor. So ultimately, we sold that property at an 8% interest rate. Our underlying mortgage that we took over was around a 3% interest rate. So we're making the delta of 5%, and we didn't even lend the money. It's the bank that originally lended the money, which is crazy, right? So we're making more than basically what the bank is on their interest, right? So awesome. Now, what did that do for our business? Well, it pays us $800 every single month for the next 30 years or whenever this guy decides to sell the property, pay us off, or refinance it, right? So usually we see those go anywhere from 5 to 7 years on average. That's what I've heard in my circle, and that's definitely what we've experienced so far. Now, the cool thing is, how many of those do you have to do to retire yourself? That's what you have to ask yourself. How many times do I need to create one income stream of, let's say, $800 a month to quit my job or to be able to take more risk or take more trips? Like, for me, it's not that hard, right? My expenses are pretty low. I live modestly. Like, I don't live in some kind of mansion. I live in a ranch style home, 1,000 square feet, and I'm happy with it, right? Because I'd rather not have the stress. But some people, they have really big expenses and they got to make $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a month just to live, which I think is crazy, but you have families and things are getting expensive. So for you, you have to do the math. For a lot of people, I'd say that's like maybe 10 deals, right? So then the question becomes, instead of, oh my gosh, I have to accumulate $1 million or $2 million to retire at 65, then the question is, how can I just get 10 deals over the next 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 years? How can I do that? Ask yourself, if you're watching this video, does that feel realistic to you? Like, does that feel like something that you could do? If the answer is yes, feel free to join my free community, okay? I'm gonna have the link in the description. There's no like sales pitch. I'm not a guru or coach. I don't have like any kind of thing that I sell. I wanna help people. I wanna give back. And I also wanna do deals with you, right? Full transparency, right? So if you want to join the free community, we talk about things like this all the time. We talk about how to structure these deals, how to have these conversations, how to actually get on the phone with a seller and find the right type of seller that's willing to, let you take over their payments or be the bank for you. And then ultimately how to find these buyers and structure it on the back end so that you can actually start creating passive income for you and your family and your business and start taking more risk and taking the trips that you've always wanted to take and hopefully enjoy your life before you're 75. So if you like this video, if you feel like it was helpful, please leave a like. It would help me a ton. I'm doing this for y'all. If you'd like, also, please leave a comment. Tell me what you feel like was the most helpful or what you have questions on. And I hope to see you in the community. I really do. This has changed my life. Hopefully, this is a good introduction for it to change yours. Thanks.